Hello everybody and welcome to our weekly daily voice warm-up and technique video. This week we're going to look at chanting psalms plain chant style to work on our voice. Before that, I just want to talk a little bit about the way I'm going to suggest you think about it. When we sing, as we've talked about, there's this it's really important to have the breath always going. If you think of this is like an analogy. If you think of an organ, you turn the organ on and there's all this wind, and before you play a note, all that wind is trapped. None of it's coming out. As soon as you play a note, then the wind shoots up through the pipe. As soon as you let go of the note, then there's no more wind coming through, but it's still there. So singing is a little bit similar in that we want this air always kind of there, ready to go. It comes up, comes out through our, I think the pipe in our case is our mouth, our nasal cavity, all of this stuff vibrating. So we have a lot of different pieces. A pipe always stays the same, whereas our mouth, our tongue, our jaw, our whole body is constantly changing, and it's that changing that creates the tone and the sound and all of that. So the reason I say that is because as we practice this, the most important thing, the thing I want you to think about the most, is this feeling of the breath constantly moving. Especially, for everybody, just to feel the breath. I've found that the Psalms are really helpful. Chanting the Psalms can be really helpful to keep your voice in shape, to help create a tone, find a connection to your breath, be able to sing in English. So English, I think, is one of the more difficult languages to sing in. For one reason, because we have all these bad habits, because we've been talking English for a long time, most of us. And when we say a word like car, we've been saying that word car, or however we say it, for how many years, and it's really hard to not sing it the way that we've said it all that time. But when we're singing in a choral style, we want to sing car like car. And there might be just a teeny little bit of R at the end, but it's mostly just a pure ah that doesn't change, but that's not how we say it. So anyway, singing in English is tough. So chanting the Psalms gives us a chance to practice not singing the way that we talk. Okay, so breath, the feeling of the breath going the whole time, and then the other thing, if that starts to feel easy and it's going and then you're not feeling any tension, again, back to wide awareness, being focused, relaxed, happy state of mind, and then relaxed inhale, and then as you chant the psalm, the air is flowing, it feels free, your body is feeling more and more free. As you do that, if that starts to feel like it's getting pretty easy, you can also think about how the inside of your mouth, right? This is the instrument that we can shape. It's just nice and open all the time. There's just a lot of space, like you have a tennis ball back there or something. This is just, it's like that stays the same. And all the words are happening, it's very delicate. Like when I talk normally now, right? It's all shut down in here. I've got all this tension and all this stuff. When I'm singing, and I'll demonstrate this when we look at the psalm, there's just a little bit of tongue movement for the vowels, just a little bit of tongue, the very minimal amount of movement that you need to make the consonants and vowels shape. Well, for the consonants, the minimum amount. And it's all very subtle. Okay, so I'll demonstrate this in a second, but these are the two things I want you to think about as we do this. Breath, it's always going, it's always flowing, it's always moving. And space in the back of your throat, and all of this is relaxed, and it's just a bare kind of middle. You can't talk like this, right? If I talk like this, you don't understand what I'm saying. But if I sing like I'm talking now, then I'm not going to sound good. So they're similar, but they're two different things. Okay, that's all. I'm going to try to keep my talking to a minimum. I'm going to share my screen, and let's look at, this is a plain song chant. So a little, just in case you don't know how to do this, so if you look up top, this is in Gregorian chant, which is kind of funky, but this is the way I've been doing it. So the first three notes you see on the left, they're just for the very first verse, and then you never do them again. So 1, 2, 3, that's only for the first verse, and then from then on out, when you start a new verse, you just start on 3. So you hold that 3, the third, for the length until you get to a little slash. And then you've got da-dum, and then another slash, da-dum. Then you start the next line still on 3. And then when you see the slash, whatever that first word is after the slash, then you have da, da. So I'm going to go ahead and illustrate this with the first line. So we sing, the Lord, the God of gods has spoken. He has called the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. So in Gregorian chant, when you have 2 notes on top of each other, you start on the lower note, and you only sing one word. So to, it's not to its setting. And then also when you have this very last thing, the very last 2 notes, that's also a just for one syllable. But if there's a word that has this final syllable or the final word is not stressed, then the way I do it is you can sing, like in this case, setting. You can change it into 2 syllables. So looking at verse 2. So we start right on 3. Out of Zion, perfect in its beauty, God reveals himself in glory. So for some of you, this might be brand new. If that's the case, pause, rewind, and see if you can understand what in the world I'm talking about. And then when you do, continue. If this isn't new, you might need a second just to kind of figure out the Gregorian chant, but it's basically the same as normal. The first note is 1, where the little clef is, the C clef. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1. Everything before the slashes in the text is on 3, and then it just, for the first half of the verse, you do the first measure, the second half of the verse, you do the second measure. Okay, so I'm assuming you figured that out by now. If not, please let me know and I will help you. And now we're going to practice it. So again, the breath. So it's like, let's look at this first line. The Lord God, the Lord, the God of gods has spoken. So I'm going to go back to video. The Lord God, the Lord, the God of gods has spoken. So if you see my face and my mouth, and you can't see inside of it, but you can kind of see the Lord God, the Lord, the God of gods has spoken. So you can hear this tone is going the whole time. It doesn't break up. The Lord God, the God of gods has spoken. You can hear all these kind of breaks. It's like I'm just singing, ah, like a beautiful legato line on ah, and these words are just really faint things that happen along this line. So if the line is ah, the Lord, the God, this is slightly exaggerated, but this is the idea. The Lord, the God of gods has spoken. It's not that much exaggerated if you listen to people sing and how this stuff works, especially done in a more classical choral style. That's how you sing. But you don't have to be that picky about it. But do have the sense, you can articulate a little bit more and go a little bit more into the words, but do feel that sense of space and the feeling that you're not like normal, where you're just kind of, there's all this movement. Try to keep a sense of an in the back of your throat, and that there's not much moving. So let me look at the next line. So let me demonstrate one more time. The Lord, the God of gods has spoken. He has called the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. So can you hear how there's this there's this legato. The air is going, there's space, and there's not much movement. Okay, so that's what we're working on. Now let's do it. So I'm going to go back and share my screen, and let's sing this song together. And do your best. If it's too much to think about all of this stuff with your mouth, just the basic thing you want to think about is the air moving. So relaxed in your body, let go of tension, and just keep the air going the whole time. Feel like the air is always moving. And that the feeling of that, if you're practicing every day, that will change as you become more aware, as you develop a little bit more coordination and strength. It's going to change every day. But let's at least right now, wherever we are, just try to keep that air flowing. Okay, I think I've said that enough. Psalm 50. Let's sing the psalm together. It looks like we got it down to verse 15. Here, I'm going to make it a little bigger. Well, maybe I won't because you'll lose the. We'll leave it right there and call it good. Here we go. The Lord, the God of gods, has spoken. He has called the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. Out of Zion, perfect in its beauty, God reveals himself in glory. Our God will come and will not keep silence. Before him there is a consuming flame, and round about him a raging storm. He calls the heavens and the earth from above, to witness the judgment of his people. Gather before me my loyal followers, those who have made a covenant with me and sealed it with sacrifice. Let the heavens declare the rightness of his cause, for God himself is judge. Hear, O my people, and I will speak. O Israel, I will bear witness against you. For I am God, your God. I do not accuse you because of your sacrifices. Your offerings are always before me. I will take no bull calf from your stalls, nor he-goats out of your pens. For all the beasts of the forest are mine, the herds in their thousands upon the hills. I know every bird in the sky, and the creatures of the fields are in my sight. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the whole world is mine, and all that is in it. Do you think I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer to God a sacrifice of thanksgiving, and make good your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall honor me. So, I hope that gives you something to play with. You can sing that psalm again and again. You can practice with it. You can do it with other psalms. You can also just chant the psalm on one pitch if you're feeling like it's too complicated to do this plain song chant. Just sing it all, the whole line on one pitch. It really doesn't matter. It's still going to have the same benefit. Just to give you where I started to really appreciate how this affected my voice. I did a 30-day retreat in Nepal last year in June. It was about a year ago this time. And I was chanting a lot, about 5 to 6 hours a day. And I wasn't doing any singing. It was just chanting, very similar to this, almost exactly the same kind of thing, even simpler, even. But just a few notes, not using a lot. But when I was done, it was the nicest I had heard my voice sound. At the end of those 30 days, when I did go back and sing, I had a concert about a week after I finished that, week and a half. It was the nicest my voice had ever sounded. And actually, even though I had never sung high, I was hitting really high notes that, like right now, even right now, would be very difficult for me, or any time in my life were difficult. And they were just boom, right there. So what I took out of that is, well, first of all, that this is a really helpful way to get your voice in shape. And it's the air. It's really finding that coordination of the air and really relaxing all the stress and having space. All of this is easy. So yeah, I really do think it makes a big difference. And now what I've been doing from that, I took that away and I thought, that was interesting. So now I do the daily voice practice in the morning that some of you watch, and then also the morning prayer where there's about 10-15 minutes of chanting. And I find that really helps keep my voice in shape. So, thank you for watching. I think that's enough for now, and we'll see you on the other videos.